I'd like to take some time to make something perfectly clear. Minor cracks in a hard coat stucco system are normal. And they don't hurt anything as long as the moisture barrier behind the stucco is done like it should be. But when a bad stucco system is coated over in an attempt to stop a leak, then the smallest crack can cause a big problem. I'd like to show you a house where 2 coats of an elastomeric primer were placed over a bad stucco system, and then on top of that a very expensive and flexible and advanced coating was placed over these 2 coats of primer in an attempt to stop a leak. It's amazing how small the cracks are that eventually lead to this house leaking. It took 14 hours of intense water testing to finally discover the minuscule cracks that were causing this house to leak badly. And those go through into the base coat right here. That is a small little crack, but I'll tell you what, the minute water hits that, boom, it's in quick. 12 minutes. I put it on one of these little cracks. Okay, and you can see that it just powers out of here. And we're finding that the moisture content in the base coat is worse as you go down, and not necessarily right below the crack, but I think it's because the water's going directly back behind the base coat and running on the papers immediately. It's not even running in the base coat. The only reason it's getting heavier down there. As you can see, we're not losing any water. That's the second one of those that went out that fast. And I've got it placed just over one of these little minuscule cracks, about like that one that my finger's on. Okay? And thinking that maybe that doesn't go through the primer, but it does. I mean, look how big that crack is. I mean, no wonder we had a hard time ever seeing these. See that? And that is wetness, because this was all wet along this crack. You can just see some of it, but it's dried out. Right at the crack, you can see here, it's wet. The base coat's wet. See that? See right here at the crack. The base coat's wet. It's interesting that we got a real good bond along this where it's fractured. Anywhere along this fracture, you got a really good bond right here. See this? Real crazy good bond. It's almost like because of that good bond, it pulls that apart a lot quicker. But you can see the cracks here are minuscule. It's almost like they're smaller in the base coat. That could be because the wall's not as cold as it is in February. See this moisture here right along the crack? It's actually changed the nature of the material underneath it. See? There's been quite a lot of moisture traveling right along this crack. It's amazing the amount of moisture that'll travel on a crack that small with the negative pressure that's placed on this wall when there's a coating on it like this. Stucco off that house that leaks, and it's quite telling. You can see here that the original base coat was less than 1/8 of an inch thick. Well, it varied. It went up to about 1/4 here. There's been 3 coatings placed over this house, and the cracks actually go through all those coatings to the surface, and water's traveling directly back into the base coat. And there's just no way you can expect stucco that's put on like this in this fashion, with the improper fasteners, the improper thickness, to not fracture. And it doesn't matter how good the coating is. You can see these coatings are quite flexible. However, and there's been multiple layers. You've got the original base coat and the chicken wire. This sits against the wall, and these are different coatings. You can see the different coatings that has been put on here, and they've all failed just from those minuscule cracks. That's why a topical coating is just not the way to go. It can't work. Not in Utah, not with the freeze thaw and the movement we get, especially on top of the kind of stucco system that you see most of the time, especially those between 1993 and about the year 2000. This concludes our video. We hope that it helps you better understand what might be happening behind your stucco.
It should also be clear to you now that superficial or cosmetic repairs will actually make the problem worse. You can't repair just one failed or missing part of a complex home exterior and then coat over or paint the surface and think that the problem will go away.
To learn more about stucco and us at Ram Builders, please visit our website at rambuilders.com. Thank you.